Hello and welcome to the PokéSins for Pokemon Season 1, Episode 3, Ash Catches a Pokemon. I am Gary and Reaver. This is the remake of the episode from January 2014, like almost 10 years ago, that I'm remaking in the plus and minus style that started from Episode 16 onwards. BTSF, behind the scenes featurette, is when I talk about what I really thought of the episode, etc., etc., as well as outtakes, cut content, and in these 15 remakes, or the 13 including this one onwards, I'm also going to be talking about differences from the original PokéSins episode that I made like 10 years ago. On a rewatch, this episode was a lot better than I remember it being. It did have a lot of really sort of cute character moments. It showed Ash in a good light, it showed Misty in a very bad light, and overall was pretty good. Ash caught 2 Pokemon, which is spectacular. However, he'll, catch 4 more throughout the entire rest of the season or something? It's insane how few Pokemon he catches, and it's even more insane how few he keeps. I sort of wish he kept up, with not this rate of catching. I wish he'd caught one every few episodes. When they see a new one, I wish he would try to catch it before changing his mind, or letting someone else in the team catch it, or something, rather than just, hey, there's a new Pokemon, that's pretty cool. Not going to try and catch that. Sorry, I'm getting off topic. Yeah, there just isn't much to this one. It's a nice episode. I should mention the league rules thing, because I say in the episode that that's going to come up a lot, and it does. And this is a thing that people are this is a contentious thing among my viewership about whether the league rules matter, about whether the league rules matter against Team Rocket. They're not league battles. League battles are only battles against gym leaders, and in the league, my stance on it, and I've had this conversation so many times, I'm afraid my stance evidently will not shift, is that if Ash objected to it here, then any trainer battle counts as a league rules jurisdiction. If that's the case, then it is always a breach of the league rules to use more than one. So, whether you think it's justified or not, whether you think that I should be perfectly fine with it, it is a breach of the league rules, and that is a minor. This remains an unequivocal fact until Gen 3 when they introduced double battles, and I'm still getting to that at time of recording. There is just the one little outtake, here it is. How does Pikachu know that's a bad idea? Are type advantages... well, are they? As for differences, there are quite a few. For a start, alright, I'm gonna come clean about something. When I made episode 16, and I started using the scoreboard at the end of each episode, I went back through, and this was in December 2014, or I might have actually made the episode in November. Anyway, I went back and I rewatched the first 15, and I rescored them based on how I thought at the time. Those scores are the ones that have appeared in the scoreboard ever since. I don't know what I gave them those scores for. I didn't write down any notes, I obviously didn't script them all back then, re-script them all, so I have no idea what those scores were for, basically. So for these 15, I am sticking to those scores, and I'm doing my best to make them fit. So this does mean I do cut some lines I would put in, or add a few lines that I wouldn't put in, because I want to stick to those scores. That is I don't want to invalidate the entire scoreboard for the season, and because my little perfectionist brain is going to go, well, you could just remake the season. It's like, no. I've got plenty of other stuff to do. I don't want to remake the entire season 1 of PokéSins. All because I didn't stick to the scores that I chose 10 years ago. The reason I'm mentioning this now is because in the first 2 episodes, that wasn't a problem at all. In this one, however, for most of the scripting, I was really worried it was going to be a positive score. And it's like, but I've got to get it to bloody minus 50. How am I going to do that? It's at like plus 20 now. And I ended up like cutting some plusals. I gave several things multiples, which I then cut down. Loads and loads of changes, basically, to try and get this. And I leaned more into the making note of errors, like, because I generally do notice a lot of colouring errors and sizing errors, etc. I don't pick them up on it unless I really notice it. You know, I don't look through frame by frame to find this stuff. It's only when I see it that I think it's worth a minor. However, as this is one of the earliest episodes, there is a lot of documentation about all of the errors in this, and that was helpful in getting the score to where it needed to be. A couple of big changes from the original. The biggest one is the Caterpie Pikachu conversation. And in the original, I was like, well, without subtitles, this is meaningless. I feel the opposite of that now, clearly. I think that it doesn't need subtitles, and it was very, very expressive, and I appreciate that. I think it did go on a little bit long, and that was probably why I said it was meaningless. It seemed like they were trying to convey rather complicated things without really expressive language. They were just sort of jumping around and squeaking a lot, but overall it still was very cute. A lot of the jokes are very similar but reworded. Generally, I'm not going to say I'm less sarcastic now. I don't feel the need to lean into the sarcasm. I'm sarcastic when I would naturally be rather than sort of forcing it. In the Legacy episode for this, I was very brutally sarcastic, and that's just not generally my style a lot of the times now. And the other one I want to call out is in the Legacy episode when Coughing and Ekans show up like for the first time, is their faces are in shadow, and in the Legacy episode I said, are they in blackface? And I remember being iffy about that joke at the time. I remember it, and I asked several people, and they were like, no, you're not saying it is, you're saying, is it? And that makes it okay. To be honest, it never really sat well with me, and although I don't think it is an offensive joke for me to make, it's not funny enough to risk it. So if it is an offensive joke, I do apologize for that. There's lots of humor in my early videos and in early PokéSins that I just don't like anymore, and that I feel very bad about. And there was episode 28, which is like a future episode. This is episode 3. Episode 28, I tweaked because there were jokes in it that I was just flatly not okay with anymore. That's another thing I'd rather not do for the entire series, go through and tweak old episodes to change jokes and stuff. But it is worth stating unequivocally, I do not stand by all of the jokes and humour I've previously used. Anyway, that got a bit heavier than I intended. This has gone on a bit longer. These BTSFs, despite being for the earliest episodes, which were the shortest episodes I ever did in the Legacy versions, these are some of the longest BTSFs, but I've got a lot to talk about after 10 years. But that is enough for now. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you later.